Hi guys, my name is Elisa Gomez. I am a painting and drawing instructor with Breck Creative Arts. I teach figure drawing classes on Tuesday evenings from 6 to 8:30 and on Thursday afternoons from noon to 4 an outdoor plein air painting class. Today's class is going to be an introduction to figure drawing that's going to focus on understanding the proportions within the figure. What you will need in today's class is a blank piece of paper, a pencil or a pen if you don't have a pencil, an extra pencil if you have one on hand in case something happens to your original pencil, a pencil sharpener if you're not using an electric pencil, and then either a ruler or measuring tape. If you don't have either of those, any straight-edged object will do in replace of that, like the spine of a book or an additional piece of paper, something that will help you draw one straight line. As I mentioned, today's class is going to be on understanding the proportions when drawing a figure. Many of you may have done figure drawing before in the past and found that it's very difficult to get the figure to look exactly the way you want it to. And if you pass the fundamentals like perspective and proportions, you're not going to be able to get the figure to look exactly the way it does in real life. So understanding proportions is the very, very basic level and where we're going to start so that you can draw the figure not only on your own, but you'll be able to draw a figure without having to have a model present, which is often the case for most people. You'll be able to draw at home without having to look at another person or another picture or drawing. You'll be able to draw the figure with the correct proportions all on your own. This is very important to the basics and to what we're going to move forward on. There's going to be a lot of terms we'll use in this class that you're going to want to remember for future classes. The same terminology goes across the board in any other figure class that you will probably take. There will be certain terms used and you'll want to remember those moving forward. So let's get started. Okay, so today's video, learning about the proportions on how to draw a figure correctly. Again, if you don't have a ruler, you can use anything with a straight edge, another page, piece of paper, a book, whatever you have on hand is fine. So we're going to start in the center of our page and draw a straight line all the way down as long as you want. I'm going to make this 8 inches long for the purpose of this presentation. This is going to represent the entire height of our figure, top to bottom. Next, we're going to take this line and divide it in half. You can eyeball this if you don't have a ruler. I'm going to use mine here, just mark it right in the middle. This is going to represent in our figure the pubic bone. Next, we're going to go to the top half and divide this in half again. You can mark with an X or a dot, whatever you would like. This is going to be the bottom of our chest area. Next, we're going to go to this very top section here, divide this in half one more time, mark it. This is going to represent the bottom of our chin for our figure. Let's go back down to this section here. Divide this in half. This is going to be where the belly button or the navel is. Next, we'll go down to our second section here. Divide this in half. This is going to be the general area for the knee. It's going to be the bottom of our kneecap area. Mark that here. Now I want you to fill in marking a middle point between these and then a middle point between our knee and the bottom of our figure. So you have 8 equal sections here in the entire length of our figure. These are our major landmarks, what is known as head measurements. Since this is going to be our head, these are going to be head measurements. An idealistic proportion is 8 heads. That is going to be referred to throughout this video and future videos, and any figure drawing classes that you have in the future will most likely refer to the idealistic 8 head measurements for your figure. The average person is more like 7.5 heads, but again, for figure drawing purposes, 8 heads is what is used to understand correct proportions. So next, we're going to draw an oval to create our head, starting at the top of our figure down to the chin. Just one large oval. That will be our head. Next, we're going to locate the nipples in our chest area. So we're going to go to the chest and one head width apart, which you can eyeball, or you can use, if you have your ruler or measuring tape, one head width, which is 1 inch on my figure, and mark those with 2 dots. And this is a demonstration for a male figure, so these are the nipples on our male figure chest. They should be 1 head measurement apart. Next, we're going to draw in our chest cavity. So we're going to find a midpoint between the chest and the chin here, halfway. You can eyeball this. Make a little dart. We're going to make a small V here. That's going to be the collarbone, the beginning of our collarbone, and the beginning of our chest cavity. So next, we're going to go back to this V here. We're going to draw one large dome shape going all the way on the outside of the nipple down to our belly button mark here. So we'll start at the top of our V, go all the way out, around and down to that mark. And we'll do both sides. And since we have this line running down the middle, we're going to try and make each side as equal as possible to understand proportions correctly. So this is the beginning of our chest cavity here. Next, we're going to locate our nipple areas, and we're going to draw a dotted line going all the way down to where it meets up with this oval that we've created. You can mark that here, both sides. This is where the cavity is going to start to curve back up to our chest mark. So you'll locate this mark we just made, and you're going to dome upward to that chest mark. And then starting at that chest mark, arch back down to the spot that we found below our nipple here. And this is our chest area. And now if you'd like, you can erase these lines, these bottom lines down here. We don't need them anymore. If you want to leave them, or if you're using a pen, that's fine as well. Either way. Next, we're going to go down to our lower pubic bone area. We're going to find our belly button mark here, and slightly below it, we're going to make a head width mark. So you can go back to that nipple if you'd like, and just continue that dotted line down to where we have come just below the belly button. Make a dot here. So both sides, starting at that nipple, following our dotted line, continuing straight down to where we've decided we've lowered from the belly button down. These are going to be our hip bones. So we have marked these here. Next, we're going to draw a small line angled inward and downward just a little on both sides, starting from those hip bone area that we just made. Next, going back to that line, we're going to arch downward to the pubic bone from both sides, creating a concave shape. To finish this off, we're going to go back to that hip bone, and we're going to just follow that arch back to that pubic bone mark all the way down. Now go back to those hip bones. We're going to follow from the hip bone up to the belly button and down in a dome. Up to that belly button mark and back down. And this creates our lower area of our figure. Next, we're going to draw in our legs, starting with the leg joints. We're going to take the space between the belly button and the pubic bone. We're going to divide this space into 3 equal areas, and you can eyeball this and mark it, so you should have 2 marks inside this area with equal or close to equal spaces. Now just below this second mark here, we're going to again find a head width equal space. So just below, go out, and again we've got the nipple that's gone down to our hips. Make that dotted line again and make your mark. So we've got this dotted line going all the way down. We're going to continue it to line up just below the second mark that we have made inside the pubic bone area. These are going to represent our leg joints. So starting with our leg joints, we're going to take it and angle it down to the knee area. You can arch it a little if you'd like, both sides, just a little. And I'm going to draw a circle here that starts where our knee mark is. These are our knee caps. Next, we're going to finish the leg to come all the way down to the full length of our figure. And I'm just going to go straight down both sides, completing the leg all the way down the length of our figure. Now, hands and feet will be their own video as they are more complicated, but understanding proportions is important. So we'll keep it to the correct proportions, but very simple. So at the bottom of our leg here, we're going to draw one small circle. That's basically our heel, and one more on top that is our ankle. Now, either eyeballing or using your ruler, we're going to make this 1 head width long and put a circle that goes on the inside of that mark and connect the whole thing. And that's going to be our foot. So both sides, circle that starts at the bottom for the heel, one more on top for the ankle, marking the head width, which again for me is 1 inch, and drawing a circle on the inside of that, connecting the whole area. Next, we're going to draw in our arms, starting with the shoulders. So to get our shoulders, we're going to start at our belly button mark here and draw a dotted line that goes straight, angled out, and meets with our nipples and continues out, creating, when you do both sides, a V. So starting at that belly button, connecting through the nipple and going outward, we've got a V here. So next, we're going to find that collarbone we made earlier. Starting at the top of that V, we're going to draw a straight line that angles up just a little bit to connect with this dotted line we just made. So not straight out angles, but just a little bit. Both sides. And here at this intersection, I'm going to draw a circle. These are our shoulder joints. Now continuing the arm along one long arched line, our elbows are going to meet up with the belly button or the navel section. So you can mark that kind of out here, going straight out, marking out here, and then we'll just draw one line from our shoulder that we've made all the way down to where our elbows will be on both sides. I'm going to draw a small circle here for elbow joints. And then next, we're going to match up with our leg joints. That's where our wrists usually fall, or down to the crotch area. I'm going to mark that and draw a straight line. So starting at the pubic bone going out, I'm going to make a line here so I know where to go. Draw a straight line out here to finish out the arm, and then draw a small circle for each one for our wrists. Now again, as I said, hands and feet will be their own video, so we'll do very simple drawings here, but to understand the hands, we're going to draw a mitten-like shape or a hexagon that's very elongated. So about halfway between our fifth mark here and our pubic bone, I'm going to mark just a little lower. That's where about our fingers will fall. So I'm going to draw the top section here and put a dotted line. Next, I'm going to finish the hexagon with the bottom section being longer than the top section, as most people's fingers are longer than their palms. And to finish off this hand, we'll just do a very simple triangle for the thumb. So we have our thumb, our palm, and our fingers all in correct proportion. And we'll do both sides here, so drawing that hexagon, beginning it, I'm going to do the dotted line and then finish with longer finger area in the mitt-like shape and adding the thumb. So we've got our main joints figured out here, knees, ankles, everything. We're now going to connect our head to the rest of the body a little better. In order to do that, I'm just going to find the lower section here. I'm going to do a dotted line going straight down both ways. Just a little bit down here of our head, going straight down on the outside of the V, but not too much. Next, we're going to start at our shoulder joints here and angle back up to the neck. Draw a straight line. And if you want to continue that line all the way through, it should connect to your oval. So starting over here, we'll start at that oval, connecting through where that chin mark is to where we've made our neck lines, and we'll just connect that down to our shoulder joint. Now you can fill the body in a little bit more from here to give yourself a better idea of the form, how it looks completed. So we'll thicken up that neckline we just made, connecting up here with our shoulders. We can also go to our chest cavity here, and we can connect it down to our hip bones on both sides, angled just a little bit since this is an idealistic form. We can do the same for our arms. So this line here and here is where the armpit is. So I'm just gonna round and connect down to that joint, touching the chest cavity, rounding in on both sides, touching the chest cavity and then angling in. And then to finish off the lower forearm here, we'll just do another simple dome-like shape just to give our figure a little bit of more depth. Now for the lower area here, I'm going to start at the pubic bone and follow this line that goes to our 5th measuring head point. Once I get there, I'm going to angle it in to our knee joint, doing both sides, starting here, continuing down that line till we get to that 5th mark, and then angle to our knee joint. For the lower leg, you can do something very simple that we did up here. We're just gonna do a small arch on both sides. And these are basically our calves here. So just so that you visually can see a more in-depth but correct perspective, you can now understand where the main movement points come from, and you can try and do this figure with different movements. So say taking the arm here at the elbow joint and angling it upward, we'll use that same measurement here, and you can use that with your pencil if you like. Turn it, and we've got now a new perspective on the hand movement. And you can do this in a number of different positions now that you have the correct body perspectives. Now that also we have the anatomical center here, that was what we started with, and that is where all of our measurements began. Some other distances that are important to understand are the distance between the top of our kneecap here is the same distance, the kneecap to the pubic bone here is going to be the same distance as the pubic bone up to the chest here. So understanding the correct measurements, understanding how they break up, the 8 head measurement points are all very important to understand how to draw the figure moving forward for other figure drawing classes. All right, thanks so much for watching, guys. The main thing that I want you to take away from today's lesson is having the confidence to go ahead and draw a figure on your own, remembering the proportions that we learned today. A lot of what we learned today was done, I used a ruler, but was suggested to eyeball. And as I mentioned in the video also, while our figure today was 8 heads tall, the average person is 7.5. Average model is more like 8.5. So it's really important, if you do have a model in front of you, to use your eyes as well as the skills that you learned today in order to make the figure accurate as far as what you are looking at. Don't be afraid to move things around the way that you see them, but starting with that proportion measurement that we learned today is going to be very helpful as far as getting you a lot closer to what you're looking at in real life. Moving forward, a lot of the terms we use today, like the head measurement that I just mentioned, is going to be used when we talk about things like perspective as well. And that will be our next video, learning how to take the figure that we just learned how to draw the correct proportions with, and how to turn the figure and make the body move in the correct proportions so that you can draw not only the figure proportionately accurate, but whichever way you're looking at the figure, you're also going to be drawing it accurately. So make sure you practice these skills as much as you can so that you're more confident in your ability to learn more about drawing the figure. Make sure you also check breckcreate.org. A lot of things are changing, so if you check the website as often as you can, you'll learn new things about classes that will be popping up online, when campus will reopen, and exciting events coming for later on in the year. You can also link to their social media pages through the website, again, breckcreate.org, so make sure you check it out. Thanks so much.